Spotify's best engineers haven't written a single line of code since December. But here's what's wild, Spotify is actually more productive because of it. They shipped over 50 new features last year. In the next 17 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside the world's biggest tech companies, and what it means for your career, your kids, and frankly, all of us. Let's start with Spotify. Not because it's the most dramatic story in this video, it's actually not, but because it happened quietly, inside a routine earnings call, and most people missed it. Spotify co-CEO Gustav Soderstrom was talking to analysts about the company's fourth quarter results when he dropped this. When I speak to my most senior engineers, the best developers we had, they actually say they haven't written a single line of code since December. They only generate code and supervise it. Let that land for a second. The best developers, not the junior ones being automated out. The veterans, the people with 10, 15 years of experience. They are done writing code. Here's how. Spotify built an internal tool called Huang, built on top of Claude Code, that lets engineers direct AI to write, test, and deploy software. An engineer on their morning commute, on their phone, on Slack, tells the AI to fix a bug in the iOS app. Before they walk into the office, the AI has written the fix, tested it, and a new build is waiting on their phone for review. They approve it. It ships. No keyboard, no IDE, no actual coding. And this isn't a pilot program. Spotify shipped 50+ new features in 2025 using this system. More output, less human coding. That's not a trade-off in Spotify's view, that's a win. But if you think Spotify is an outlier, you need to hear what Stripe is doing, because Stripe didn't just give engineers AI tools. They replaced the engineers entirely for a full category of work. Stripe, one of the most sophisticated engineering organizations on the planet, built what they call minions. These are fully autonomous, unattended AI coding agents. You post a task in Slack. The minion reads the context, writes the code, runs it through continuous integration tests, and drops a complete pull request, ready for human review. No human wrote a single line of it. Here's the number that should make your jaw drop. Stripe's minions are responsible for over 1,000 merged pull requests every single week. 1,000. And that's not total AI-assisted code. That's zero human-written code. Fully autonomous, start to finish. Alistair Gray from Stripe's engineering team described it this way. A typical minion run starts in a Slack message and ends in a pull request that passes C and is ready for human review, with no interaction in between. These aren't toy tasks. These are real production code changes, merged into one of the most consequential payments infrastructure companies in the world. So we now have two major tech companies, Spotify and Stripe, where the actual act of coding has been handed to machines. Humans remain in the loop to review, supervise, and make strategic calls. But the keyboard is optional. And then Jensen Huang walked out on stage and said something that took it even further. He didn't just say his engineers could stop coding. He said nothing would give him more joy than if they all did. In the last 60 days, the CEOs of Nvidia, Microsoft and the data from Spotify and Stripe have all converged on the same message. But the way each of them said it reveals something much bigger than any single company story. Nvidia just gave all 30,000 of its engineers access to OpenAI's Codex, one of the most powerful AI coding agents available. This is a company that builds the chips that power all of AI. And even they are automating their own engineers' core function. At an internal all-hands meeting, Huang found out that some managers inside Nvidia were actually telling their teams to use less AI. His response, direct quote, "Are you insane? I want every task that is possible to be automated with artificial intelligence to be automated. I promise you, you will have work to do." And in case anyone thought Huang was being careless with jobs, he clarified, Nvidia is still roughly 10,000 employees short of what it needs. They added several thousand people last quarter. AI adoption at Nvidia isn't replacing workers, it's changing what workers do. But it was Huang's other comment that really reframes this whole conversation. He said, and this is key, the purpose of a software engineer is to solve known problems and to find new problems to solve. Coding is one of the tasks. And so if your purpose literally is coding, it's all right, maybe you are going to get replaced by AI. That's a complete redefinition of what an engineer is. You're not a person who codes. You're a person who thinks. Coding is just a tool that AI now holds. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable, because Mustafa Suleyman, the CEO of Microsoft AI, extended it to every white-collar worker on the planet. In an interview with the Financial Times just days ago, Suleyman said, "White-collar work, where you're sitting down at a computer, either being a lawyer, or an accountant, or a project manager, most of those tasks will be fully automated by an AI within the next 12 to 18 months. 12 to 18 months. That's not a distant threat. That's this year. Next year at the latest." Suleyman predicted human-level performance on most, if not all, professional tasks. Not superhuman, human level, which means AI can now do what your average white-collar employee does at work, every day. And here's why this matters beyond any single profession. Lawyers, accountants, project managers, marketers, these aren't niche roles. These are the backbone of the modern economy. These are the jobs that powered the middle class for the last 50 years. The jobs that parents pointed to when they said, study hard, go to college, get a good stable career. Senator Bernie Sanders called it an economic earthquake. And whether or not you agree with his politics, the metaphor is apt. The ground is shifting, and unlike a literal earthquake, this one is happening slowly enough that most people don't feel it yet. Which brings us to the most important story in this entire video. Because if all of this is happening, what are college students supposed to do? And what are they actually doing? Something unprecedented just happened at the University of California. For the first time since the dot-com crash, computer science enrollment dropped system-wide. It fell 6% last year. It fell 6% last year, after declining 3% in 2024. 2 straight years. And this happened while overall college enrollment rose by 2% nationally. Students aren't leaving school, they're leaving computer science. 62% of computing programs reported undergraduate enrollment declines. 62%. That's not a trend. That's a stampede. But here's what the headlines get wrong: students aren't abandoning tech. They're making a smarter bet. The one UC campus that didn't see a decline. UC San Diego, the only campus that added a dedicated AI major this fall. And universities across the country are racing to catch up. USC, Columbia, Pace University, all launching AI-specific degree programs. They're reading the room. They're looking at Spotify's engineers supervising AI, Stripe's minions writing pull requests, Jensen Huang giving AI tools to 30,000 people, and they're thinking, I don't want to be the person writing code. I want to be the person directing AI. And this is where it becomes bigger than tech. Because what we're watching is a society recalibrate its educational priorities in real time. And the countries that do it fastest will have enormous advantages. China understood this early. MIT Technology Review reported that Chinese universities have been treating AI not as a threat but as essential infrastructure. Embedding AI literacy across every discipline, not just computer science. While American universities were still debating whether AI was cheating on homework, China was redesigning its entire curriculum around it. This is the part of the story that should make every parent, every student, every educator, and every policymaker uncomfortable. Because the shift isn't just about coding jobs. It's about what skills matter in a world where a machine can do most of what most office workers do. The students ditching CS aren't panicking. They're actually the ones paying attention. They see that the question is no longer, can I code? The question is, can I think? Can I identify a problem nobody else has seen? Can I communicate what I want well? Can I understand context, nuance, and risk in a way that no AI has mastered yet? The question was never whether this was coming. The question was always, are you going to be the person who adapts before they have to, or after? The future doesn't belong to people who write the best code. It belongs to people who ask the best questions. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment.